Hello, dear students. I hope that you can see me and you can hear me. The topic of our lecture is sustainable supply chains in uncertain time. Today's supply chains operate in an environment of high uncertainty. Globalization has increased efficiency, but it has also made supply chains more complex and fragile. Disruptions in one region can quickly affect production, transport, and consumers chains uh, worldwide. This lecture explains why supply chains are vulnerable and how companies can manage risks and build more resilient and sustainable systems. Slide 2, our lecture schedule. This lecture consists of three main parts. First, we discuss instability and supply chain bottlenecks. Second, we analyze global and regional conflicts and their impact on supply chains. Third, we examine maritime piracy and labor strikes as additional sources of disruption. The objective of our lecture is to understand risks and learn practical response strategies. Next slide. Instability, the global supply chain bottlenecks. Supply chain instability means frequent disruptions, delays, and unexpected changes. Bottlenecks are one of the main causes of this instability. They limit the flow of goods or information and reduce overall performance. Understanding where bottlenecks appear helps companies improve resilience. Next slide, slide 4, the top risks facing supply chains in the future. Global reports show that supply chains face growing risks such as geopolitical conflicts, energy shortages, transport disruptions, cyber risks, and climate events. These risks increase uncertainty and make planning more difficult. Companies must prepare not only for efficiency but also for disruptions. Next slide. What are supply chain bottlenecks? A supply chain bottleneck is a point where the flow of goods, materials, or information slows down or stops. Bottlenecks delay deliveries, increase costs, and reduce customer satisfaction. In simple terms, they are obstacles that prevent the supply chain from working smoothly. Key takeaways of supply chain bottlenecks. Bottlenecks negatively affect business performance, as we told before. They may be caused by external factors such as transport disruptions or material shortages, or internal factors such as poor inventory management or limited capacity. Early identification of bottlenecks is essential for resilience. Disruptions can result from forecasting errors, capacity limits, inventory problems, supplier failures, communication issues, and quality problems. Natural disasters and unexpected events can also trigger disruptions. Because supply chains are interconnected, problems can quickly spread. Political instability disrupts supply chains through trade barriers, tariffs, sanctions, and regulatory uncertainty. It can also affect transport networks, currency stability, and labor availability. These factors increase costs and reduce predictability for business. Lead time, as we can see on this slide, measures how long it takes for a customer to receive an order. Increasing lead times often indicate bottlenecks. Cycle time measures how long a specific process takes, such as production or loading. Monitoring these metrics helps detect problems early. Inventory levels must match demand. Very low inventory may signal supply shortages or inefficient production. Very high inventory may indicate weak demand or transport bottlenecks. Proper inventory management improves flow and reduces risks. We can consider here fill rate. Order fulfillment rate measures how well customer demand is being met by immediate supply. Our orders met with on-hand inventory. Then order accuracy, perfect order rate measures how often orders are fulfilled on time and without errors. And finally, capacity utilization refers to the extent to which a business is using its resources. And the next slide. Fill rate shows excuse me, no, the next slide. Supplier performance. Reliable suppliers are critical. Long lead times, poor quality, or unreliable delivery create upstream bottlenecks. Diversifying suppliers and monitoring performance reduces dependency risks. There are some strategies for navigating supply chain bottlenecks. First strategy is called root cause analysis. Root cause analysis helps businesses get to and resolve the source of a supply chain bottleneck. Treating underlying problems rather than just symptoms helps businesses address the issue more effectively and prevent it from recurring in the future. The second strategy is process mapping. Process maps are generally depicted as a flow charts. They should be easy to understand and they should give decision makers visibility into vulnerabilities, inefficiencies, redundancies, and bottlenecks. These maps can also provide a deeper understanding of the interlocking links of the supply chain and how bottlenecks can reverberate through an organization. And the third strategy is agile supply chain management. Agile supply chain management prioritizes agile supply chain management prioritizes flexibility and responsiveness so businesses can quickly adapt to changes in market conditions. With an agile approach, businesses continually monitor and assess operations to prepare for new risks and address new bottlenecks, whether due to changes in customer preferences, supply and demand, or socioeconomic shifts. Agile strategies generally rely on close communication with suppliers and partners, data-driven decision-making, supply chain diversification, and continuous improvement in and continuous improvement mindset. If we talk about the mitigating the impact of political instability, we usually apply supply diversification, scenario planning and risk assessment, and finally technology and innovation. What is about supply diversification? Reducing reliance on suppliers from politically volatile regions ensures continuity of supply. Building relationships with suppliers in different regions can provide alternatives during disruptions. The second means that conducting regular risk assessments and developing contingency plans helps distributors respond quickly to disruptions. Scenario planning allows businesses to prepare for different outcomes, minimizing operational disruptions. And the third strategy means that investing in technology and innovations or innovative solutions can enhance supply chain visibility and agility. Real-time tracking, data analytics, and automation can help distributors respond quickly to these disruptions. Mitigating the impact of political instability. Supplier diversification, as we told before, is not the only way to mitigate the impact of political instability. Flexible logistics networks is much better way to do it. It means that an organization is building flexible transportation and logistics networks, allows distributors to reroute shipments and adapt to changing conditions. Partnering with multiple carriers and exploring alternative shipping routes ensures resilience. Then compliance and regulatory expertise is crucial to stay because it's crucial to stay and to be informed about international trade regulations and compliance requirements. Working with customs brokers and legal experts helps navigate complex regulatory landscapes, reducing the risks of delays and fines. Also, building strategic inventory reserves means that maintaining strategic inventory reserves of critical products can help mitigate the impact of supply chain disruptions. By holding buffer stocks, distributors can continue to meet customer demand during periods of instability. Supply chain resilience is the ability to resist, adapt to, and recover from disruptions. Resilient supply chains identify vulnerabilities and use strategies to minimize impact. Companies with resilient supply chains prioritize identifying vulnerabilities, then implement strategies and technologies to help minimize and even avoid their potential impact. And by strengthening supply chain operations, businesses can better serve their customers and gain a competitive advantage, even in the face of volatile demand and increasing global pressures. The next slide. Resilient supply chains handle shocks better and protect customer service. Resilience requires continuous monitoring, calibration, and improvement. Businesses can increase their supply chain resilience by focusing on contingency planning, agile operations, increasing visibility, and working with partners, among other best practices. Global and regional conflicts and their impact on supply chains. Please copy this link and watch the video considering global and regional conflicts and their impact on supply chains. Just a few words about it, because government actions such as sanctions and export controls can disrupt global trade. Companies must prepare for sudden regulatory and political changes, so they should understand the political situation and the potential consequences of political contest. Any major government actions can lead to ripple or seismic effects across the international trade landscape, impacting companies with a global footprint. And to ensure that there are appropriate built-in contingencies and timely crisis responses, legal counsel should be brought in at the early stages of supply chain security planning. It means that you should advise with your legal experts and give feedback from them considering the potential negative impacts of international trade with certain regions or certain countries. Legal experts should help manage sanctions and export controls, and it means that they are useful at early involvement stages, because early involvement reduces legal and reputational risks. To be prepared to government actions, a company should do the next steps. First of all, seriously mapping a company's own supply chain, then drafting comprehensive supply contracts with safeguards such as force majeure, export control, and sanctions clauses, then conducting due diligence on existing and prospective suppliers, finally ensuring shipping, transportation, and logistic plans comply with applicable regulations, including the EAR and sanctions, and be preparing to have response plans for worst case disruptions. During any supply chain interference or catastrophe, legal counsel also play crucial roles in crisis mitigation, such as advising on emergency supply and distributor negotiations or any other stopgap measures. Navigating complex international legal issues, including competing or conflicting regulatory regimes that may arise for affected multinational corporations. Interfacing with various government agencies, including Treasury and the United States Department of State or State Department, who share oversight and enforcement responsibilities, and also mitigating any potential reputational damage and civil or criminal liability. What business strategies should use legal counsels of multinational corporations? First of all, consider implementing mitigation efforts such as integration of advanced technology and diversification of suppliers or distributors to improve the flow of communication and supply continuity. Then ensure counsel is retained who is well versed in international legal frameworks and treaties to confirm compliance with foreign regulations, and that can quickly advise of any retaliatory measures taken by other nations. Engage counsel to draft comprehensive supply contracts, conduct due diligence, and interface with government agencies to include those you can see here on this slide. And finally, establish a corporate compliance framework with attention to trade issues and that prioritize through documentation, internal policies and procedures, regular trainings, and sufficient oversight. Please watch the video Navigating Supply Chains Amid Geopolitical Disruptions. Geopolitical turbulence. A few examples of it means that events such as Brexit, US-China trade tensions, and the war in Ukraine show how geopolitics reshapes supply chains. Energy prices, transport routes, and sourcing strategies are affected. Six types of geopolitical disruptions. These disruptions include internal instability, trade conflicts, terrorism, piracy, armed conflicts, and more detail, more precision, we can talk that first type of geopolitical disruption is internal tension due to internal political instability. In this case, geopolitical events derived from internal political instability in a country where uncertainty breeds ethnic, religious, labor-related conflicts, and even economic crisis. The second type is tensions between countries without direct economic or armed conflict. In this case, geopolitical events derive from tensions between countries to preserve national sovereignty that initially do not lead to economic or armed conflict. The third type, internal or external tension due to piracy or terrorism. In this case, geopolitical events derived from terrorist attacks or pirate assaults carried out by armed groups due to religious, economic, or other motives. Then it's tensions between countries with economic conflict but not armed conflict. We may know these tensions as trade wars. The fifth type is internal tension due to interdependence and dependence. Again, we talk about the internal conflicts within the country caused by internal and external factors. And finally, the sixth type is tensions between countries with both economic and armed conflict. The very similar situation happens now in Ukraine, where the armed and political and economic conflict between aggressive Russia is continuing. The next slide, how labor strikes disrupt the global supply chain. The global supply chain is experiencing significant strain in 2024 as labor strikes sweep across critical industries, including aerospace, shipping, and logistics. And the strikes driven by demand for fair wages and job security, a total ban on the further automation of cranes, gates, and container movements have resulted in widespread delays, rising costs, and reduced shipping capacity, highlighting vulnerabilities in the movement of goods worldwide. The number of workers involved in major strike activity increased by 280% in 2023 from 2022. We should remember that strikes or even the threat of a strike can cause significant disruptions across the global supply chain and have a massive economic impact. When US railroads were facing the threat of a strike in 2022, many companies redirected their cargo to avoid work stoppages and unhappy customers. If the strike had occurred, it would have had a massive economic impact. The Association of American Railroads estimated that the economic impact of a railroad strike could be $2 billion per day. Labor unrest and strikes have caused executives to open their eyes to the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in their supply chains, which is called as VUCA. There are several strategies to create a resilient and proactive supply chain. The most successful approaches include rethinking strategies, upgrading business processes, and automating and utilizing advanced technologies. Rethinking strategies is about producing abroad to reduce labor costs, provides no resiliency when checkpoints arise in the global supply chain or as geopolitical risks surge. So if you produce in abroad in instability times, it means that you are under threat and your supply chain is vulnerable. As labor disputes and/or strikes arise, the risk increases that the product will get stuck or delayed in transit. By moving manufacturing closer to customers and consumers through reshoring, nearshoring, and vertical integration efforts, these risks are mitigated. These risks are mitigated. In addition to moving manufacturing, companies are also diversifying their supply base. They are pursuing strategies such as adding backup sources of supply, establishing strategic partnerships and joint ventures, and vertically integrating their supply chain. Here on this slide, you can see the distribution of piracy attacks from 2015 to 2020. As you may see, the most of these attacks has happened near the western coast of Africa, nearby Nigeria, and the Southeastern Asia, with Malacca Strait, is on the second place. Next slide. Maritime piracy threatens ships, crews, and cargo. It causes delays, damage, and higher security and insurance costs. These costs increase prices for global trade. For example, one additional piracy incident along a set of routes linking China to a particular destination reduces export to all countries on the continent by 0.1%. Given an average of 26 incidents per month along routes to Europe, this implies that exports are 2.3% slower than in a world without piracy. Piracy hotspots are changing and attacks are becoming more sophisticated. New threats include terrorist and proxy forces targeting shipping routes. Here on the slide you can see negative impact, cost implication and details, as well as long-term financial effects of piracy on global shipping. The main negative impacts are high insurance premiums, route deviations, crew safety risks, reputation damage, private security costs, legal complexities, restricted access to trade routes, environmental risks from pirate attacks, and supply chain disruptions. And finally, on this slide, you can see cost comparison of high-risk piracy zones, such as Gulf of Guinea, Gulf of Aden, Strait of Malacca, Somali coast, South China Sea, Caribbean Sea, and you can see here how insurance premium increase and average security cost per voyage, as well as impact on delivery times. And finally, top 5 piracy-prone vessel types. First of all are oil tankers with very high piracy incident frequency. and the average loss per incident is from $4 to $10 million, and security costs per voyage is approximately $200,000, which causes a significant reduction in rates. Then the next vessel type is fishing vessels. Here we can see that the piracy incident frequency is moderate, but average loss per accident is still very high, from $500,000 to up to $2 million. And current challenges, and emerging trends. First of all is change in hotspots. Piracy remains a major issue in areas such as the Gulf of Guinea and the Southeast Asian waters. While incidents in the Somali coast have decreased, pirates are now targeting different regions, requiring adaptive responses. Then unrecognized states. The growing threat to shipping and air travel from proxy forces and terrorist political and military movements supported by so-called totalitarian states. An example is the Houthi missile and drone attacks on ships in the Red Sea from territories which Houthi control in Yemen state. Increased sophistication. Pirates are using more advanced technology, including GPS systems and faster boats, to coordinate the attack, often targeting larger, slower-moving vessels. And global economic impact. Piracy-related costs included increased insurance premiums, security expenses, and ransom payments continue to strain the global shipping industry. This economic burden may increase if new measures are not implemented. Thank you for your attention. Have a good time, and all the best for you.